Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Allen. From the state to the local level, distrust in politics is present and can lead to misinformation as well as polarization. Grant Green has more from the University of South Dakota's Confidence in Elections Conference, where lawmakers, students, and guests alike discuss this very issue. It is our 5:30 top story tonight.
USD's Center for Democracy held an all-day conference where guests and students especially got to talk to lawmakers about this last legislative session, and they also got to learn a little bit more about why trust in elections has continued to be on the decline. As part of her keynote speech, Professor Lisa Bryant laid out a growing and concerning issue affecting America, with over a majority of election workers saying that they have either been insulted or harassed for doing their job.
You don't say, maybe I was wrong, maybe there's processes in place that protect the system, maybe elections actually work. No, you can't do that because some people don't ever eat crow.
Skepticism also carries to the politicians as well. Trust in government is now just a third of what it was 60 years ago. And South Dakota lawmakers are aware that there's frustration with them as well. Hope in Today gave guests a chance to learn about what they fought for in Pierre, especially after a legislative session that many of them have described as disappointing.
Compromise is not a dirty word, and finding solutions that help people in South Dakota is the job that we have. And so being able to see examples in front of them that say, my presence in Pierre matters, my presence in Pierre gives voice to the concerns of every South Dakotan as opposed to specific small segments of the population.
One USD student said the event affirmed what he tries to tell other students.
One thing I want young people to understand is that these legislatures who are here, they're here on a local perspective of leadership, and that's where a lot of people forget in politics, because local politics does matter.
Representative Eric Muckey said it was great to get to talk to students, and he hopes that they use some of the things that they learn here to hopefully participate and engage in their local elections. In Vermillion, Grant Green, Dakota News Now.